See, normally if you go one-on-one with another wrestler, you got a 50-50 chance of winning. But I'm a genetic freak, and I'm not normal. So you got a 25% at best at beating me. And then you add Kurt Angle to the mix, your chances of winning drastically go down. See, the three-way at sacrifice, you got a 33 and a third chance of winning. But I got a 66 and two-thirds chance of winning. Because Kurt Angle knows he can't beat me, and he's not even gonna try. So Samoa Joe, you take your 33 and a third chance, minus my 25% chance, and you got an 8 and a third chance of winning at sacrifice. But then you take my 75% chance of winning if we used to go one-on-one, and then add 66 and two-thirds percent. I got 141 and two-thirds chance of winning at sacrifice.
Hello and welcome back to Afterglow, episode 99. We are continuing Steiner Math March with WrestleMania for the NES. This game's definitely rough around the edges. It was a very, very early wrestling game, and you can tell. But in this episode, we do have a guest, and it's someone who hasn't been on the show before. Slage from the Secret Levels Discord will be joining me as we discuss our mutual memories and thoughts of this game, and kind of go off track a little bit, but it's all wrestling related, which I love. It was a great discussion, and you guys will be able to join in on all that after our music cut. And welcome back. For this show, we do have a special guest, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm on the Secret Levels Discord server. A lot of you know me probably as Slage. Some of you might have ran into me otherwise, but yeah, just happy to be the one to talk about a game I remember from my childhood here.
Yep, I think we were discussing it somewhere on there, and you had mentioned remembering it, and we were like, oh, hey, go ahead and jump on. How many other people are going to talk about WrestleMania for the old Nintendo?
Not many.
Yep. How did you first get a hold of the game?
I don't know all the details to it because I was so young, but like a lot of kids during that time, I was, a little kid, big into Hulk Hogan. My grandpa grew up with wrestling, so it was kind of a bonding thing if he and I were watching it together. So, as most grandparents tend to do, they're just out about, oh, hey, we see their favorite character on the cover of the game, pick that up. They're never going to play the game themselves, so it's best to find out what kind of creature we've unboxed.
Right. See, in my case, I had stayed at a friend's house, and he had a copy of this game. Of course, I was a wrestling fan at the time. I mean, most of us were. I honestly still am. But, Mike, it's really cool, though. You see a wrestling game. I loved the NES at the time. I think I might have been 8, 9. So, of course I wanted to play it. What were your thoughts whenever you played it? Do you remember enjoying it as a kid?
Enjoyed it as a kid, even back then, but for the wrong reasons.
Okay.
I distinctly remember probably my favorite things I would do would be to pick Andre the Giant because he looked like he was marching. So I just sit there and hit the kick button so it looked like he was marching from one side of the ring to the other. And his headbutt looked more like he was just rocking out in the ring, headbanging.
I'm probably going to tear apart this game later, but I will give it credit in the fact that for the game sprites, there is a difference in the size of the wrestlers. Andre is a big, towering mass of a man, as he should be.
Oh no, this is a game you need to tear apart. It is just that kind of thing to tear apart.
Well, the worst part about it, I think this is the first wrestling game that I remember playing, and there's no wrestling in it.
Punch, kick, headbutt, and turnbuckle dives, and even those are kind of weird.
Yeah, I mean, there's a pin at the end of it, but like I said, there's punches, there's kicks, there's headbutts. Every once in a while, you might get a body slam, but other than that, I don't see much. And I don't remember the foreign objects in the game being objects that would empower your wrestler a whole lot, but that's what we got here.
Oh, and then the first time I was playing as Andre and I saw a snake go flying across the ring, I got to thinking, what is that?
I think I did the same thing with Hogan and his crucifix necklace whenever it went across. I'm like, what? Why is that there?
Oh, and I love how someone once I was talking to them about the game and they said, yeah, they couldn't go with a bottle of steroids, so they chose a crucifix.
Oh no. That goes back to that commercial we were talking about before we started recording.
Yeah, the little bitty dollar sign that it looks like something I remembered from another video game, but that coming out for Ted DiBiase just always got my attention that there's this little bitty dollar sign.
I did enjoy the fact that we got the $1 Million Man as a playable wrestler, because you only really saw him playable in the really, really old early games. He kind of disappeared after that.
He did. I do remember probably the big thing I remember about the foreign objects that fly. I think the first one I ever saw, I was playing as the Honky Tonk Man, and a guitar showed up, and I thought, oh, great weapon! Where's that? I just picked up a guitar. Where's the guitar?
Right, and then you're like, okay, is it a power-up? What did it do? Because it's not really obvious at first, like, what it even does.
No, you're just picking up random stuff, getting thrown in the ring.
One other thing I thought was interesting was the health recovery mechanic. You can beat the holy crap out of your opponent, and he'll regenerate health fairly quickly.
Yeah, you've got to stay on them as best you can, and then the other fun thing is, they'll sit there, hammer on them, and then they'll just start wandering around the ring. You can stand completely still, and they'll just wander. You know, it's almost like they're playing to the crowd, but not really well. So you have to chase them down and hit them again.
One thing that kind of threw me off, too, was the music in this game. It could be because of the year the music was released. Some of the wrestlers had recognizable theme music. Hulk Hogan, of course, is Real American. The Macho Man has the graduation music, as I call it.
Yep.
But some of the music I don't remember. Like Andre the Giant theme, I don't know where that's from.
I'm not sure either, because I don't think he really ever had an entrance theme. To my limited knowledge of that time, I think he may have come out to some theme they had tacked on with Bobby Heenan. But no, Andre was very much a non-music guy.
Right. If I remember right, they gave him some music for one of the WWE 2K games, which was kind of fitting. But outside of that, I don't remember Andre, like, back in the day coming out to anything.
No, because they wanted you to, marvel at the giant. They wanted that silence.
Yep. And some of the other wrestlers, too, like Bam Bam Bigelow is in here. I don't remember his music sounding like that at all.
He's been an interesting one. He's had it to where, I don't know which organization he was in, but he had insisted coming out to no theme music. I don't know what company he was with. That was part of his gimmick.
I can't remember either. I do remember that, though.
Because even the commentating teams, like, again, Bam Bam coming out, he insists no theme music, no theatrics, just get in there and
let's see. The $1 Million Man. He had a really iconic theme back then, but that's not what we get here. And again, same with him. I don't know where his music came from.
It may have been something to where they're limited power at the time, so they had to kind of come up with something.
Maybe.
I don't know, were they Jim Johnson at the time yet? Because I know he was kind of their guy forever that did most of the themes.
Right. Well, this came out in '89. So I want to say by '89, at least $1 Million Man had the, Money Incorporated theme.
Mm-hmm.
Because by the time this came out, I think they were on WrestleMania at least 3 or 4.
Yeah, because I remember the Money Incorporated song. First time I'd heard it, he was coming out to the ring with the Supreme Fighting Machine, Kama.
Mm-hmm. One thing I did not know until I was doing some research, whenever the wrestlers turned red, I thought that they were actually, that was showing them losing health and getting tired. But apparently, according to the manual, they're getting angry, and they will inflict more damage. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I think it's really subtle. I'm trying to remember who it was. One of them has got this really off tint to their color, to where when they get in the anger mode, you don't really notice it. I almost want to say it was Hogan, because they always gave him such a deep, dark tan.
Mm-hmm. That was something I never knew as a kid. Like, I thought they were just, it was changing the color to show them taking damage. It's like, hey, you're getting stomped. And no, they'll actually do more damage if they fight back. And I never caught that.
Well, it goes back to our fighting game past it. They start to blink red. That's your indication of low enemy health.
Mm-hmm. So, the one other minor good thing I will say about this game is that everyone on the roster, tiny roster, it's only like 6 guys, but they do have individualized moves. Now, granted, the moveset's tiny, but the moves are kind of individualized. Like, Randy Savage will use an elbow smash instead of a punch. Bam Bam gets a bonus running attack. Ted DiBiase will use eye gouges. So that's kind of neat for the time.
Yeah.
And that's probably it for the positives.
Well, it depends on what you go with it. Like I said, when you do the messing around with Andre, there you get a positive out of a negative. You have him march while he kicks into somebody, or it starts headbanging to head.
The sad part is he was so much more mobile in this game than he was in real life.
That is very true. He was very limber. He could just punch forward. I don't think I ever saw a time where he could throw a kick without being in the corner to lean on a rope.
Right? I love Andre, but man, he was moving in this game versus an actual match that he was in. So who did you usually choose whenever you were picking a wrestler on this?
For the sake of comedy, I would often go with Andre, just because, again, I love messing around with the headbutts and the kicks. If you got them right, you could actually almost unlock them with those kicks to where you just pound on them and never get hurt.
I was a Randy Savage guy.
I was never big on Savage at the time because I was so young. I think I was just stuck with Hogan. And then once the Mega Powers came along, then I started caring about Savage.
Occasionally I would choose Ted DiBiase just for the hilarious fact that it looks like they gave him a butt crack whenever he's walking upward.
Yeah, and honestly, you get a lot of that with the way he'll just start wandering to run away from you.
Yeah, it's like, where are you going, buddy?
Part of me wondered if it was the start of them attempting some kind of an AI where if they were a heel character, they would back off to give you an opening for the difficulty and also make it to where, hey, the hero's on the ropes, so I can just back off.
I did find a couple of review scores for the game. Game Zone gave it an 88 out of 100. Which I really want to read that article now because that's insanely high for this game. And then Total Magazine gave it a 30%, which feels significantly more accurate.
I kind of want to wonder how much that one got paid for the review.
Yeah, I mean, someone definitely made off with bank there. I'm actually trying to pull it up, if I can. I'm not sure if Retro Mag has a copy of it or not, but that's an insanely high score for this game.
Yeah, they're given a D+ game a B+ grade.
Mm-hmm. So, did you ever come back to this game after your childhood?
No. I remember playing it forever at my grandparents' house. I would even run away from home at times on my Power Wheels to go play the game. I just wake up, get in my car, drive a few blocks down the road, not tell my parents. They'd call my grandparents, "Hey, is he down there?" "Yeah, I'm there in the game room."
So this was one after I had played it at my buddy's house. I think I gave it a couple rentals just to see, maybe it's more fun than I remember. And I'd rent it, and I'm like, no, it's not.
It was an interesting evolution going from this to Raw and Royal Rumble.
Oh yeah, those two I really, really enjoy. Even Super WrestleMania, I really got into.
Yeah, I think a lot of it you had to make your own fun. They really leaned into your imagination.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, this one I just I couldn't get into the mechanics of it at all, and just the fact that you had such a limited move set. In 5 minutes, and you've got probably seen everything that your character can do.
Well, if you position yourself just right, you could have it to where your power-up would be the only one that would show up on screen, and you could just hammer on your opponent. So,
oh, really?
If you were able to get it going, you'd have it to where just your power-up was coming in, and theirs wasn't because you had to be at like a certain plane, and yours would constantly scroll in. Theirs wouldn't. You could just pound on them until they started running away. And you'd hear your music swell when you were winning, so you knew, even if you weren't looking for the health meter, if you had the advantage or not, because your music would be playing in the background.
Okay, that I didn't know, because usually I just get my opponent, try to get him in the corner on the ropes or something, and just wail on him.
No, just if your player one, just run to the top left corner, and you try to get them like one plane or so below you, kick at them, and your health item will keep pumping and making you stronger. And they're so far from the corner that theirs spawns less than yours. It just becomes a battle of attrition with you taking the advantage.
I might have to try that next time I emulate this, because, I've never done that before.
I don't know if it was total fluke, but it just seemed to be the way I was always able to get a 2-3 minute victory in the game.
So did you actually, did you only play the one-on-one matches, or did you do, like, the tournament mode, where you, like win the title at the end of it?
I would do tournament because I was able to tease that strategy to finish out tournament every time, and it just made it so simple.
Okay, I'm glad you did tournament. So now my question is, what do you think happened to the end music on the credits? Because it sounds nothing like the rest of the music in the game.
That one I couldn't tell you. Maybe a creative decision? I don't know.
It was so confusing for me whenever I finally got to that credit scroll, because it sounds like just like a bunch of random bleeps and bloops, whereas the rest of the audio in this game honestly is done alright. But that credit crawl, it was horrible.
Maybe they're trying to do... Oh, gosh, I'm trying to think now. There was a wrestling game that they took a cue from, I want to say, a fighting game, where at the end of it, it was a lot of the... and almost like they were trying to do techno music using the chip tunes, and it just didn't come out right.
Not sure which one that is off the top of my head. I've played a chunk of wrestling games, but I have not played nearly as many as Stoops and B-Rob over on the Secret Levels Discord. Their collections are insane.
Oh, for a while it became my mission just to check them out for no sake other than comedy a lot of the time, just to see what I could find.
So, let's see, we've covered gameplay, we've covered our memories of it. I think we already know, but there's no reason for me to go back to this game. What about you?
If you want to have a good laugh, put it in just for no reason other than to have that chuckle, but I would never buy it for more than maybe $3 to $5. I don't know its current value.
Oh, it's definitely an emulation game.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to go ahead and eBay it. We can get a copy of it for $6.97 and $2.95 delivery, so about $10 looks like the going rate. And that is for a loose copy. If you want a boxed copy, I am still scrolling, so I haven't found a boxed copy yet. Here we go. $30 for a boxed copy.
Yeah, I'd say hire it all the way.
Yeah, I'd have to as well. I mean, if you're going to spend your money in a wrestling game, modern day, get one of the 2K ones. If you're going old school, I'm one of the rare guys that's going to say get one of the 16-bit LJN games, although most people will probably tell you get an N64 game.
No, I don't know. If you could get this running on an emulator somehow and mod it, what the power-ups you could make come in, that could be interesting. Or you could take the crucifix and mod it to where it would just be a bottle of, or like a steroid needle come in to pump up Hogan or something like that. That might be interesting.
I mean, that would be accurate, although you'd have to be careful because there are certain items that Hulk Hogan would refuse to touch. Like, if it's dark colored, I don't think Hogan would want anything to do with it.
No.
Oh, Terry. How the times have changed. Oh, here on eBay, interesting combo. You can get a lot of WWF Wrestlemania and Airwolf for $16.
You're paying a lot for Airwolf there.
Or you can get 2 copies of the WrestleMania game for $9 and $6 shipping.
Now, see, that nails it right about my price range. 2 copies, about $5 each.
Yep, that's pretty close. Before we go, I do want to bring up the title screen before you get to the WrestleMania logo. You get an interesting-looking caricature of Hulk Hogan, who looks much as he does today. He looks like geriatric Hulk Hogan on the intro screen.
It is funny the way that kind of pixels work. He almost looks so much older, and it does mirror him today with the skin sagging from the weight loss. Yeah, it's scary accurate.
Yeah, it did not do him any favors back then, which is kind of funny because he was all about image back then. If I remember right, there was a story about him in one of these games where he actually made them add hair to his sprite because he wasn't happy with the amount of baldness that they had given him.
That was in a couple games. I do not remember one. I'm sure possibly you might know, but there was one where they actually made the joke. Do you think we added too much hair to Hogan? I mean, I remember it being sometime during the Attitude Era of WWE, so I do not remember where it was, but somebody made that kind of smirky comment of them putting too much hair on Hogan's character.
I'm kind of surprised that there wasn't a dev back then that just gave up and had him wrestle in the ring wearing the do-rag on his head and just being done with it.
That would have been the simple way. There was a game where they had that. He just had the Hogan red and yellow bandana.
That sounds like an easier fix. Like he was wearing that on the Super WrestleMania game on the title screen, which has a much better image of Hogan than this game did. It's amazing what 8
Look at
extra
this, it
bits
was
can
a bad
do.
Photoshop too. When you look at his outline, it almost looks like bad Photoshop.
Yeah, it's rough looking. Which, like I said, I'm shocked that they actually approved that for the final release. The final release of the game, not Hogan on Bubba the Love Sponge.
Yeah.
There's an obscure joke. It's 10 years out of date.
I'm sure someone got it and loved it. We all know.
So, but yeah, the roster in this game is so tiny, and then if you're not a Hogan fan, which these days finding a Hogan fan is significantly more difficult than it was in '89.
Yeah, I think it's been a relevant joke of no one killed Hulkamania quite as well as Hogan did himself.
Yep, craziness. He don't care now. He's set for life.
No, he's fine.
Even after his divorce, he's probably good. And I mean, if not, he can just go, sign a few more belts for, $200 a pop, and away he goes again.
I'm honestly surprised he didn't charge people to have him rip his shirt, hand it to him, or rip their shirt or something like that.
He might have. I know he's got his store that has all the replica title belts and everything.
Well, I had a retired wrestling buddy. He actually had a fun story regarding Hogan to where some fan got him upset or whatever, and Hogan wound up grabbing him by the shirt collar. And he made the comment of, "You're lucky I don't charge you. Normally, for me to tear somebody's shirt, it's $10."
Yeah.
I'm like, huh?
That's amazing.
Like, hand Hogan $10 and you'll rip your shirt off? Okay, that's interesting.
It's okay, though, if you're Bubba the Love Sponge's wife, he'll do it for free. Well, I guess that's enough crapping on Hogan. But I guess before we get ready to wrap this up, is there any podcast that you've been listening to that you want to plug or anything?
I've been really enjoying yours. Afterglow has been good. Secret Levels, always fun to listen to. Going through my list as we were talking earlier, I'm caught up on some of them, so I'm getting ready to start through Grimm and getting ready to try Jimmy Beans out for some nice, cool stories. That'd be about it for right now that I can recall off the top of my head.
Right on. Well, hopefully we'll get you back on at some point in the future. I know we were talking about the Tecmo Tag Team Wrestling that we might eventually do.
Yes, if you get me on for Tecmo World Wrestling, I volunteer. Definitely get me on for that one. I loved that game.
See, my only main memory of it right now, I remember loving the commentary on the bottom of the screen.
And what the funny was, that commentary was better than most of what we got at all of the WWE games.
Right. It was really good. I loved the little commentator dude. But yeah, I'll definitely have to get you back on probably in a few months for that one. Like I said, the rest of this month, of course, I'm doing kind of a negative connotation wrestling games. So here in a few months, I'll probably end up bringing you on for that one if you're cool with it.
Okay. We'll have to try to see if we can get some Steiner math in on a few of these prices now and then, just to see how it figures in.
I love that. I don't know if you heard that I am using that promo for the intro this month.
Yeah, it is. It's good, and as far as I know, people marvel at how accurate he was with that.
Yeah. It's funny because you look at Scott Steiner and you don't think this, but he is actually a very, very intelligent college dude.
Yeah, he was. For some reason, he just got big into developing his arms. I don't know if steroids got to him or what, but his brain stayed more or less intact. His behavior got a little erratic.
Yeah, he got a little bit on the violent side in the WCW waning years, but Like, he's always been pretty smart.
Yeah.
At least smart enough to market himself very well after his body kind of was unable to do a lot of the wrestling stuff because, he's still bulked up muscle-wise, but he could barely move.
Well, he was just so top-heavy. A lot of it was, that's kind of his area.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy how big he got overnight because, to me, it was overnight because I remember him whenever it was like the early NWO days, and he was still, Scott Steiner. He was, built well, but he wasn't massive. And then I remember just one day turning it on, and we're like, what happened?
Yeah, because I remember seeing him and Rick sitting there, Rick down in this dog pose, and Scott holding him back as kind of they did for, photo ops. And I'm like, yeah, you see Scott here, and then out of nowhere you see it where he's got biceps on top of bicep on top of bicep, and it's like he came out of a Popeye cartoon right after he ate spinach. And I got to thinking, man, the first guy that takes a headlock from him is probably thinking, Scott, bro.
I'm glad it wasn't just me then. I didn't know if I, fell into a haze and missed out on wrestling for 6 months or something, but I just remember him being, a decently built guy, and then one day I turned it on, and I'm here like, dear God.
I had a buddy who said, man, bro went to Jax for Mortal Kombat surgeon.
I don't know what happened, but it's like, he's got, muscles in areas I don't have areas.
Yeah. There was a big push-up regimen, if I'm not mistaken. There was an interview, and it was just he kept doing push-ups and lifting.
I might have gotten some Hogan's needles.
I want to say, yeah, that's part of what got into his violent behavior.
Oh, that is crazy. I'm glad I'm not the only one, though, that had seen that back in the 90s, and I'm here like, what happened?
One thing I do wish they had more of, I don't know if you covered the game. I want to say you did. Yes, you did. You did the promos. There's one game where the controls were just so awkward, but if you picked Steiner, it was so easy because he had 3 moves, and they were all these just beat downs, and you could walk through the game as him because you would just mercilessly pound your opponent with these combos and be done.
Mm-hmm.
They go like a boot to the gut and just club on the back of them.
It's just so weird, that transformation that went over him. I'm glad that there's a game that represents it. It's like, oh my god, Scott Steiner's killing DDP. Backstage as well as on camera.
Yeah.
Alright, so I'm gonna thank you for coming on. I'm really looking forward to covering Tecmo Wrestling with you, because that's one I haven't played in a while. I'm gonna have to go back and replay it for sure. But again, thank you for taking time to coming on, and we'll get you on again here in the future.
Alright, thank you. I appreciate it, man. You have a good one.
You too.
Now watch me waste the Macho Man with Acclaim's WrestleMania for the Nintendo Entertainment System. A leg drop, an elbow smash, a body slam!
WWF Wrestlemania from Acclaim.
Ooh, yeah, I want a rematch.
As always, thank you for tuning in to another episode of Afterglow. I'd especially like to thank Slage for coming on and discussing NES WrestleMania with me. It's not exactly a game talked about much anymore for obvious reasons that we went about over in the episode, but I'm glad that we both had memories of it and we could both talk about it. Hopefully we'll be bringing him back on in the future for definitely Tecmo Wrestling and maybe a few others down the road as well. So, speaking of other podcasts, be sure to check out the show notes below. You can find more info on Afterglow, more places to listen. You can check out our Patreon and our Discord, as well as check out some merchandise if you want to help support the show. There's also links to many other friends of the show, their podcasts and YouTube channels and whatnot. They're definitely worth checking out. Special shout out, as always, to Grim from Lost and Gone for doing our intro and outro music, as well as Toby Von Doom from Secret Levels for doing the show logo. Now, the next episode, the main episode at least, there could be a bonus coming out between now and then, but the next main episode will be episode 100. There is still a little bit of time left if you want to get your submission in for it to talk about a game that you have fond memories of and that you enjoy, 5, 10, maybe even 15 minutes worth. However, I'm going to set a hard deadline on March 15th, 2025, of course. That's going to be your deadline for getting a submission in. So if you want to be on Afterglow 100, sharing your memories of one of your favorite games, and I really do want to get as many people on here as I can. I've been rambling for 99 episodes. It's time for you all to, sound off and tell us about your memories as well. That way, a little bit more variety. But I would love to have you on. Don't matter who you are. If you're listening right now, I'd love to have you. So please, I am begging you, pick a game from your childhood. Tell me your memories of it. Send it in as an MP3. I'll handle all the editing and everything. It's going to be a really, really fun experience. But to close this one out, as always, I'm going to let some of the friends of the show tell you about their shows, which will be coming up right now.
For more than 15 years, Retro Gaming Roundup has been the centre of your retro gaming universe, with top 10s, interviews, game reviews, news, and much more from all over the globe. Be sure to tune in every month for a new dose of Retro Gaming Roundup. That's RetroGamingRoundup.com.
Hey, this is Toby, one half of the Secret Levels podcast. We're a podcast that goes over old retro games. We go over the history, the story, the gameplay, some fun facts. We even rage a little bit. And then we go and give it a nice 1 to 10 rating to let you know if it's still worth playing. We have over 200 reviews for games on the NES, the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, and many other consoles. You can find us on all the major podcasting apps, such as Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and you can follow us on social media at Secret Levels Pod. Game over, folks.
Hello and welcome to the Reviews Brothers. It's me, Martin, and you can join me on YouTube where I have hundreds of videos covering a huge range of video game topics. I've got top 10s, hidden gems, console-focused A to Zs, as well as dedicated videos to topics like Doom mods, 3D platform games, ninja games, pirate games, and more. I cover all systems from Commodore 64 right up to modern consoles. Nothing gaming is off the table. So be sure to search for the Reviews Brothers on YouTube, as well as on Instagram and TikTok for hundreds of retro and modern video game reviews.
Afterglow listeners, it's me, Keith Gasper, coming at you from the #1 retro gaming podcast, the Main Quest Podcast. Come hang out as a guest and I play and discuss a game from the backlog of my childhood. We're talking about our history and the history of the game, and if it's worth checking out today. We're talking about games from the NES, the Sega Genesis, TurboGrafx, Game Boy, and much more. And that's just on the main feed. If you enjoy what you're hearing on Afterglow, you're going to enjoy the Main Quest, and I'm happy to have you. Find the Main Quest on Apple Podcasts, Good Pods, Spotify, and wherever great podcasts are downloaded.
Hello, my name is Aaron. I'm one half of Super Pod Saga, a topical variety video game podcast fueled entirely by nostalgia and unleaded gasoline. Super Pod Saga, we discuss a different video game topic each and every week. We have new episodes every single Monday covering a different video game topic. More than anything, we want to entertain our listeners and make you feel like you're one of the boys, like you're hanging out at a campfire with some of your best zany caffeine-powered buddies parties and just talking about your favorite games and all that stuff, stop on down to Super Pod Saga. It's on every podcatcher there is. If it's not, let me know and we'll get on it. But again, Super Pod Saga, stop on by.